I mean, I'm so sick of going to see Hollywood films where they desexualize the women and then you've got
Mhm.
shirtless beefcake guys. I'm so tired of this. Think of the first film, which was Raiders of the Lost Ark. None of this BS Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was Raiders of the Lost Ark was the name of that movie. They're trying to do this with the Mad Max films too. They're trying to say, it's Mad Max and the Road War or whatever. They're rebranding to put Mad Max in all the titles of the films. Anyways, do you remember that shot of Marion on the deck of the submarine in that skimpy outfit, blowing where you can see her very visible triangular bush? I noticed it as a kid. And look, it's not like, okay, maybe it was intended. Who knows? All I'm saying is, damn. And how come we don't see any of that in modern cinema?
Well, in modern, you don't even get a hint of cleavage or anything like that now. It's like they go out of their way to make the women look as unappealing as possible. Like, ooh,
Yeah.
don't want that. I get like some of the thinking behind it. It's like, okay, maybe they've been exploited a little bit in the past, but now it's like so overcompensated that it's just they're just like amorphous blobs on screen. They might as well just be men. And it doesn't help that they have this tendency now to cast like these really like skinny androgynous looking actresses that have like no hips, no bust, no waist or anything. Like they're just kind of straight up and down, and it's like they're the most boring people to look at.
I remember seeing Ant-Man.
Well, it's a shame that women were exploited. Luckily, now with the 90-year-old main star who shouldn't even be in action films, we're not exploiting anyone anymore. Fortunately, that's over with, huh?
I feel like the audience is exploited at this point.
Right? I don't know what people are so bent out of shape about. This the new Indiana Jones movies allowed me to multitask. I can watch Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park at the same fucking time. I don't get it.
Well, at what point is it like abusing the elderly? Like, do we need to check in on Harrison Ford? Like, were you forced into this, Harrison? Like, do you remember being in this film?
At gunpoint, I assure you.
Sign the
No, I don't
contract,
get
Harrison.
it. It's like you think Harrison. I said on social media the other day. You think Harrison Ford's agent even remembers the word no? Like I'm sure they're paying him like the gross domestic product of Pakistan for his services or whatever. But the guy's not even going to be alive to spend it. Like, does Callista Flockhart really need that much cash? Like, she certainly isn't spending it on food. What the fuck?
Yeah. But I remember seeing the trailer of Ant-Man and the Wasp, and they were side by side in their suits, and their physiques were almost exactly the same. The man and the female character. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's like take something like Scarlet Witch from the MCU. When you first saw her, like her costume was kind of revealing, like give you a bit of cleavage and stuff. And Elizabeth Olsen's pretty well built. She fills it out quite nicely. And yeah, like with each passing movie, she apparently mandated that she wanted to be more covered up, and she didn't want to be. Particularly because the dominoes had started to fall on that one. Like the other actresses were getting covered up as well, and you had characters like Black Widow, which was, she used her sexuality to her advantage to lure people into a false sense of security, which is part of her mystique as a character. By the end, it's like, no, she just looks like a man, basically. When you look at the final Black Widow movie, like her final appearance, she's just straight up and down. It's like they've somehow found a way to like compress her chest down so there's nothing there. She's got these stupid little shoulder pad things to try and make her shoulders look broader like a man. It's just all the same thing. And the result is they are just, I don't know, man. It's like they just want to eliminate the whole concept of sensuality on screen. And that, look at a scene like in Empire Strikes Back, right? That scene between Han and Leia on the Millennium Falcon where she's trying to repair something and he kind of corners her.
Rape!
Yeah, well, there's an interesting dynamic at play there, right? Because he's coming onto her pretty strong and she's protesting, but she kind of isn't really, if you know what I mean. There's this interesting dynamic of like sometimes a person can put up a fight or they can put up resistance, but they kind of are interested. And that scene tackles it really well. But it's very sexually charged as a result, and it's played really well by the two actors. You would never get a scene like that now. That would never be fucking allowed.
No.
Same with Deckard and
Oh
the
my
replicant
god!
in Blade Runner.
Forget
that bit where he
about it.
slams the door when she's trying to leave, and like again they get it on. But
Well,
like,
and it's entirely because they had a normal love scene planned, and then the two stars hated each other, so they were just frustrated after hours and hours of trying to get this shit to work. And there used to be like actual nudity in that scene, and like it was really uncomfortable because neither of them liked each other. So finally, Harrison Ford just steered into it, and the people on set actually called that scene the hate scene.
but it works.
Yeah, it works. It works fine.
But again, like I guess the point I'm making is like an interesting scene like that you can read a lot into wouldn't be allowed. It would have to be like 100% consensual. Or fight if it was a movie now, like especially from Disney, it just wouldn't have any kind of sex scene or love scene in it. Because they just don't want that anymore. They just want everyone to be just a useless, amorphous blob of nothingness.
Right. They don't even exist from like the neck down.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know how much trouble Game of Thrones got in? I think it was like season 6. They had when like deliberately portraying a negative sexual experience, they got in super trouble with like fans and different outlets and articles and stuff. Where I think it was Jaime and Cersei, they're having sex like. It was unclear if she was into it, sort of thing, and it was like literally on their son's corpse was near them. It's a really fucked up scene, right. Very deliberately fucked up. But people were like, "This is unacceptable. You cannot like have this." And it's like, it's fucking.
This is a show where people are getting like burned alive, tortured, limbs hacked off, but it's like, ooh, non-consensual sex. That's the line I cannot cross. I'm like, now I'm triggered.
Yeah, the actor actually said he was describing that scene, and he said that it's deliberately to show that these are two broken people. That was the whole point of that sex scene.
Oh, I thought that was fucking clear when you watched it, but some people like
no, he had to. Yeah, strange.
Yeah, and then
sadly,
there was what happened to why am I forgetting her bloody name? The Stark, not the youngest, the
Sansa.
One up from it. Sansa, that's it. She had a less than fun time with good old Ramsay, and that pissed off everybody as well. And it's like, I mean, guys, a bit of raping did happen back then. I mean, this is certainly in this fucking story. It's what you just said. It's like, how did we get to the point where people can get everything taken away from them in every other way, but when it's that, it's like sparks huge outrage.
Yeah, well, it's like, look what happened to Theon. It's like he's getting like fingers sliced off and like brutally tortured and stuff and castrated, and like nobody has a problem with that. It's like, again, the moment there's like a rape scene involved, suddenly that's just a line that can't be crossed. It's like, yeah.
Oh, I'm not talking about some people like, yeah, but that wasn't in the book. It's like, oh, I'm not talking about people saying it was inaccurate. I'm talking about the people who are like, you can't have that in TV. That's disgusting. That's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
which is hilarious because, dude, do you remember like growing up back in the day, the freaking Lifetime Network and Hallmark Network was nothing but the ladies with abusive husbands are getting raped network, right? Like it was no shit. Like 90s after school special television was like 10 times more edgy than what we have in theaters now.
Yeah. This, recently, right? I just got done watching Fast and the Furious 10, right? And it was a bizarre experience because I feel like I've been transported back to the 2000s, because it's like suddenly there's this movie that's got like all the fast cars and stuff, but just like beautiful women in bikinis, just shots of them for no fucking reason whatsoever, just because they could do it, because they thought that's cool. It's probably going to be mostly guys that are watching this movie. That's what guys want to look at. Fuck it, put it in. And I just thought, perfect. That's all we want. Just give the audience what they want. Stop trying to decide what's right for them. It's such a rare thing in movies nowadays. It's almost like, whoa, I feel like I'm on a little time warp back to a different era.
But look, HBO Max, HBO, whatever you want to call it, that network, that channel was built on tits.
Yep.
If you seriously go back to the old, it was all of their shows. It's a comedy, but with tits. It's a drama. I mean, just everything about HBO. It's the network. If you're going to be on an HBO show, you will do nudity. I mean, they kind of built it on that, and that's fine. But I didn't begin to really notice the sort of not just desexualization of women, which is not every. I mean, you mentioned Fast X, and thank God for that. I mean, there's sexy women in that movie because that's an important. I think it's important element part of a film, but when The Force Awakens came out in 2015, the fact that there was no romance in that film, not one romance, and they shut it down at the end when Rey kind of friend zones Finn. I mean, look, we don't have to talk about that piece of hot garbage, but the fact that romance, I think, is a part of Star Wars. It's a part of that genre, a space opera. There's going to be romance. The fact that there's nothing in that film, it was because people forget that the original Star Wars, I'm talking about when it was called Star Wars, not this episode 4 A New Hope bullshit. It was about a guy, a kid, a farm boy who saw a video of a girl and basically fell in love with a hologram and wanted to bang that chick and then rescue her and be the hero. I mean, that's how it all his interest in her, his romantic interest in that girl is what was part of his motivation. I mean, also his aunt and uncle died, but and he had no home and nowhere. But
yeah, he was on a great big quest for gash. You're absolutely correct. That was actually what the whole plot was.
Someone said in the chat, the bush of destiny, which I think is earlier when I was talking about Marion's bush on the deck of the submarine there, but there's a conscious effort when you look at someone like Karen Gillan, who is objectively a very sexy and attractive woman, and you see Nebula as she was portrayed originally to now. There is a clear effort from corporate Disney to desexualize everything. The agenda, or as you put it, Drinker. It's so fun. I watch a lot of other shows, and everyone says the message like you say it now.
Yeah,
that's my one contribution to the human race.
No, but it's like I'm like, oh wow, do they watch The Drinker too? Like the message. But it's clearly Disney has leaned into that. How long can they hold out? I mean, what they go through 7,000 people laid off recently. Is anyone getting the message that the audience hates this shit? That just get us back to good storytelling, get us back to maybe it's become a shock when there's not a mixed race couple in a movie. You know what I'm talking about? Like every single, and we'll talk about The Flash later. It's like every movie you see now, mixed race couple, desexualized woman. You'd never see a hot woman in heels. I don't know if you saw the new Barbie trailer that dropped today, the full trailer for Barbie. But there's even a whole thing about high heels or flats, which is interesting that the film is going to deal with those issues. But it's obviously an agenda that the audience is not down with.
Well, it's just as we talked about earlier. I think you mentioned it, Chris. Like, if your agenda is to say like, well, we need to stop sexualizing women and like not presenting them with these unrealistic body types, like super lean and big tits and everything. Okay, fine, I can get behind that if that's really what you want to do. But then at the same time,
I can't
present. Yeah, well, I don't love it, but if you're going to stick to your principles, though, but then what they do is like you've got these guys. Oh, sorry, I think I'm cutting out for a second.
Yeah.
You were like Ron DeSantis for a second there.
Yeah.
The second you in full support of great big boobs, the internet's trying to cut you down.
Great big tits. But then at the same stroke, you've got these guys who are like built like bodybuilders and always get their shirts off, like for those big hero shots. You can't have it both ways. You can't say it's unacceptable to sexualize.
Well, I mean, come on, let's.
Men.
No, yeah. Like, are we reading anything into the fact that freaking the big bad, apparent big bad from The Force Awakens, takes the shirt off and has bigger tits than the main female star? You know what I mean? Like, her bra actually fits better backwards. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Jesus. There is one type with a particular body type which they will show off, which is I remember in Star Trek Discovery, there was one of the cast members with an unignorably fat ass, and they put her in very slim clothing to accentuate those curves. And I still have nightmares from that.
Oh, is that the big fat ginger one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh yeah. Tilly, that's the one. Yeah.
Mhm.
I just think, like, how do you pass your fucking physical for being on a
Yeah.
starship, or is there one?
Right.
I guess there's not. But yeah, it's just it's that interesting double standard, I suppose. And
Does it take extra power from the transporter for someone of that size?
Well, it's more mass to move, isn't it? So you've
Yeah.
got to. It probably takes more processing power, I think, to move her from one part of the universe to another, because there's a lot more of her. But yeah, you think you could go into it and be like, "Hey, can you shave off like 20 pounds while I'm in here? You know, while I've been atomized, just take some of those atoms and throw them away. Be all right."
I just imagine her on the platform fading and then coming back in again, and them having to boost the power to.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
There's just too much of her, Captain. Thanks for checking out this clip from Open Bar. This is just a little reminder that my first comic, A New Kind of War, is due to launch in June. It's an officially licensed prequel to the Rambo series that tells the origin story for Colonel Troutman back when he was a young Special Forces operative in the Korean War. I'm pretty excited about it, and if you're interested in ordering a copy, I'll include a link to the Indiegogo page in the description. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.